other podcasts and short clips and everything on your social channels, and I've heard the term pressure testing sales systems with real deals, and I absolutely love that phrase. For the audience, can you walk us through what that actually looks like in practice?
Yeah, so I think where a lot of brands tend to focus is on lead generation. And this idea that if I just widened my top of funnel, the conversions that we're getting will ultimately get me to the deals I need to sign for the budget we need to have, and kind of the waterfall that happens thereafter with units open, units profitable, royalty stream, all of that. And I think where most brands aren't tracking well enough is through the rest of the pipeline. When we talk about building a sales engine, we're really focusing on the ability to have clear understanding on what exactly happens when someone comes in and predictable conversion from stage to stage. We also track time in each stage so that we understand, this brand should typically have somebody in the application stage for a week. If it's more than a week, then we've got some issue that we need to solve for, either with the candidates we're attracting or the team or the engine that we've built. And making sure that we understand, sales cycle is 62 days and every stage people are in this for this long, and that's the appropriate time for each stage. And that leads to this predictability and closing that so many brands are after and they can't quite achieve. I think when I think about pressure testing, it's understanding that once you have this engine built and you kind of have this entire flywheel working for you, you can widen the funnel and it's not going to break. You can shrink the funnel and get really, really particular about the people that you're trying to attract or the markets that you're really trying to grow in. And you will still have very predictable growth because the engine is taking care of so much of that. That you can know if we shrink it down to, 30 leads a week, we're still going to close this many at the end of the month. If we open it up to 100 leads, that system is not going to break because you've built it in a way where no matter what that top of funnel looks like, it's still going to perform. I think where a lot of brands struggle is that when they're not closing deals, they immediately think about leads. We gotta get more leads. We gotta engage with more brokers. We have to spend more money on digital, and they don't think about who's entering the pipeline. Why aren't they closing? What is it that we can make more efficient throughout that process? And oftentimes when you flood leads into a system that doesn't exist, you're really putting a ton of pressure on the person having to manage that whole system. I feel like it's one of the reasons why franchise development people don't last very long in brands, right? It's a high turnover position. They're under a ton of pressure to meet goals that maybe weren't based in fact or reality or weren't really budgeted out in a true fashion. And then they're under so much pressure because they have to really just have drive and tenacity and grit to work within these broken systems. And it's usually not them who can fix it, right? It's not the salesperson who can figure out, how do I make this CRM more efficient, or how do I utilize this technology better? They're just focusing on grin and bearing it and getting people through the pipeline as efficiently as possible.
Magical right there. I couldn't agree more. That's the vast difference between creating a slide deck or a short webinar and actually running a live rep through a process where you build it, you run it, you stabilize it, and you hand it off. That's really seems to be y'all's model in terms of the flywheel you referenced. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's really it. And it's been over years and years of doing this and really walking in, again, from that operational lens, I think, which kind of changed the way that I looked at franchise development compared to my peers, of just saying guys, there's got to be a better way to do this. There has to be an easier way. And even before AI was the term that everybody was spouting from every channel, just basic technology, basic workflows, basic automation, where you're taking a lot of kind of the minutia and the follow-up off of that human so they can be more focused on where they're best, which is having human-to-human interactions over the phone or over Zoom or whatever it is in person. If you can free up your salesperson to be incredibly effective when they're in front of another human, and rely on technology and automation to do a lot of the backend work, that is an incredible thing to be able to do. And so much of what we've built is based on that. We want the human to be doing the things that are most effective and move the needle the most, and not have to be, constantly catching up brokers on what happened on the last call, or remembering that they forgot to respond to that territory check that came in really late last night, or, kind of advancing people manually through a pipeline and having to do that between calls that they have scheduled back to back all day long.